Hello, everyone. I'm Crow. I woke up to some pretty bad news today. I think we all woke up to some pretty bad news today. PokéQuest is shutting down, in case you haven't read the title or haven't been in the Discord server. So let's talk about it. Spoon reached out to me in May of 2020. That's over 5 years ago. I'd been posting in the Pokemon 3D Discord that I really wanted to find some way how to play Pokemon 3D in VR. So he reached out to ask me about, like, whether he thought that a 3D VR Pokemon game would work. And of course I said yes, because I wanted it. But, when he reached out to me, he had already been working on a back end for PokéQuest VR, what would become PokéQuest VR. We still weren't sure on the name, still weren't sure on the icon. And of course I volunteered to help. I wasn't very good at programming or game development, but I knew how to 3D model, so I offered my services there. Spoon said he wanted strictly sprites for the game. He said he loves the old retro look. I couldn't have agreed more. I offered Heart Gold and Soul Silver as an option, I believe. There were some considerations, but yeah. You know, funnily enough, PokéQuest VR, Spoon started working on Johto. I think because I kept harassing him and asking him to, because Johto's my favorite region, but there was a version of the game that started out, and it was Johto. Unfortunately, I think after quite some time working on that, that version of the game got lost, so everything had to be rebuilt, and Spoon made it for Kanto. So that's why PokéQuest VR is in Kanto. The plan was always to expand into Johto and Hoenn, although Hoenn would have been a little bit of an issue, but like Sinnoh and Unova would have been good. And in that same vein, I actually, you know, since we started in Johto, I made all the Johto buildings before I ever started on the Kanto buildings. I remember staying up all night for like 2 or 3 weeks, working on the Heart Gold Soul Silver Johto buildings, because, you know, I don't know if you know, but the models in the DS are scuffed as hell. They're missing walls and a bunch of stuff for optimization purposes, but so, you know, I stayed up for a long time fixing up the majority of the buildings, and I was just so happy when I got them all done, and I was just so happy for the project. PokéQuest was like everything to me for a very long time. It still is. I mean, just 3 days ago, I was bragging to some classmates in college. I was like, hey, you know, I made 3D models for this game, and I really love it, and I showed them YouTube videos and stuff, and I talked about the project. I do it all the time. I do it all the time. I'm like an NPC. Like, PokéQuest VR is my NPC dialogue. Like, I'm like, yay, yo, I work on this cool game, and I make the 3D models, and, yeah. PokéQuest VR has been, like, a really big part of my life, and I love it. There's been so many nights that I stayed up just talking with Spoon about, like, what would be in the game, what features we're planning, like, what models we'd need, and we'd argue sometimes about that too, but I think that was for the better. You know, Spoon he really wanted the game to be hard, and, you know, he wanted to be online and whatnot, which is great. You know, what came of PokéQuest VR, like, what he made was awesome, and, it became a big part of my life. My Discord bio has had, like, modeler for PokéQuest VR in it for years, or PokéQuest VR is great. Like, ever since the project started, I've been bragging about it, you know? There was a time when me and Spoon worked in the same company together, and honestly, it was pretty giddy. It was really cool to be able to see my friend that I'd worked on PokéQuest VR with, and like see him at work and talk with him, you know, and stuff like that. It was kind of a surreal experience. So why is PokéQuest VR shutting down? Well, Spoon gave his reason in the Discord, and it's a pretty apparent reason. I mean, for one thing, we've just gotten busy. We haven't had an update for PokéQuest VR in quite some time. I haven't made any new models for it in quite some time. So being busy is one part. You know, a lot of people would always ask about whether the project was still alive and blah, 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 blah. And I'm sure that played some role in him being like, well, maybe it's time to shut it down. But a big reason is because of the server costs. It's an online game, so, you know, you have to pay for servers, and it's not a small cost. And he paid it out of his own pocket. He always had. I would tell him, I'd say, hey, I'll help you pay for it. I'll pay for it for you. But, you know, he was always insistent, like, no, it's got to be me. Like, I get that. I do. I get it. You know, I had been dating these past 5 years, and anytime that I, you know, I go on a first date or anything, PokéQuest VR is always the first thing I bring up. Anytime that I talk with a coworker, they're like, what do you do for fun? I'm like, well, I like playing VR and I like making 3D models. So, you know, then I'll show them PokéQuest VR and I'm like, look at the buildings, you know, look at the interiors. I mean, it's something I was really passionate about. I still am passionate about it. And I know what you may be thinking, like, oh, is it possible to make a single player version? Like, possible, sure, but it's just a lot of, that would be a lot of time and effort. The game would have to change fundamentally because everything calls to the server, and the game client doesn't have any server information, so, and Spoon's not going to release the server information, so, that's just kind of how it is. Unfortunately, you know, I think I actually I posted a video on my channel a little bit ago talking about Bakugan or whatever, but in that video I was like, you know, it's really frustrating playing live service games for a myriad of reasons, microtransaction, blah 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 blah, but one of those reasons is you know, the game's shut down. You can't play them eventually, and you know, this was a concern that I brought up to Spoon when the project first started. And, you know, I brought this up a lot. I was like, you know, maybe we should do a single player thing. And he was very insistent. He was like, you know, that's extra work I don't want to do, which is completely understandable. I've done game development too. I've done some programming these past 4 years, and he's right. Every little feature is a lot of time. And, you know, this is all a passion project. Like, it's great for portfolio. You love shoving it in your portfolio and showing it to people, but it's just because we love fucking Pokemon. And Spoon was playing a lot of Pokemon back then. Man, it's just so kind of jarring to think about PokéQuest VR getting shut down, and you know, just all those memories of like us sitting in a Discord call, Spoon like starting up Unreal Engine and kind of flying around the map and showing us what he's working on, and then being like, Crow, you need to make these models, and I'm just like, okay. Okay. We had other people helping us too. Alaska helped us on the Discord end. Yuki helped us, you know, with getting sprites, and we had a guy named Lan. He's great. He made custom sprites for us, and helped work on the Pokemon sprites too. You know, in hindsight, I could have written a Python script to scrape this data, but we didn't have that know-how back then. But we typed the Excel sheet for all the Pokemon data by hand. I did maybe 60 Pokemon, 70 maybe. I don't know how many I did. But, well, maybe a couple hundred. I don't remember. Anyway, we did it for gens 1 through 5. We typed in every Pokemon's information, all the moves they learn, all the gender differences, and blah, 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 blah. all the stat differences, where they spawn, etc. All that was like typed in hand into an Excel sheet. It was so much time. I put a lot of time into it, but that's nothing compared to what Spoon put into it. Spoon did almost all of it by himself. It was monotonous work, like mind-numbing work. And I just hate to see it, like, be gone, you know? I really, it's awful. It's depressing. I'll never get over it. It'll always be with me. You know, sorry if y'all are hearing a fucking lawnmower. They decided right now is, to be fair, I woke up at like noon. Really bad news to wake up to. I think he made the announcement at like 11:15 a.m. God. And everyone's in the Discord, you know, either expressing their condolences or their anger or whatever. I just looked in our Discord server. A lot of the channels have been deleted already. I guess either here or Alaska's doing that. Anyway, those channels had a lot of, like, my life, our lives inside of them. You know, like, the channel we'd throw assets into. It'd be like, hey guys, look at this building I made. And Spoon would be like, hey guys, look at the layout for a route. But it's gone now. It's kind of like the same feeling as like when a live service game goes down, but it's just so much more personal, you know? And honestly, I don't know how Spoon feels about it. I just gotta be grateful, because I mean, you know, even more than me, way more than me, he's done all of this out of his pocket and out of his time and whatnot. And you know, if he doesn't want to pay for the servers anymore, I can't help but say that that's fair, you know? But a big part of me feels like I'm losing myself. We had little events for the Johto starters. There's a lot I could talk about the game. I could go into every little update that, I tested before the game went public. I could go into concerns. And, you know, let me be clear, this has nothing to do with Nintendo. Nintendo couldn't have touched this project. You know, it's not... We did everything the right way. There weren't any legal worries for us. You gotta take my medicine. I forgot to. I just kind of woke up and came to record. If anything, this video is more for me than it is y'all. I just gotta process it all. These past few weeks, I've been programming a little Pokemon desktop pet application that's taken up a lot of my time. I was trying to learn the Godot game engine, but in my time learning the Godot game engine, you know, I just realized just how much time writing all that code takes, and it's a lot of effort. So, you know, I don't imagine that this doesn't affect Spoon 2. PokéQuest VR has done a lot for him, and I know it means a lot to him. And I'm sure this was not a easy decision to make. Or maybe it was. Those server costs were pretty bad. I'm just really bummed, guys. I don't know. I turned on my camera to record, but I'm just sitting here, not saying anything. Just thinking. I don't know what to say. I mean, there was another Pokemon VR project that I helped out with called Pokemon VR. And there was some drama with that, and basically the devs just rug pulled the game and turned it into a crypto scam. But a big motivation for me was after they rug pulled it and banned me from the server and shit. I kind of hopped onto this project with Spoon with a bit of pettiness, because I wanted him to make a game better than Pokemon VR was, so that, you know, I could have some vindication, and I think, you know, we accomplished that a long time ago. What else can I say? I'd hate to see the Discord server go, but knowing Spoon, he'll probably delete the whole server once the servers go down. You know, if you have some free time in this next month, maybe download the client and play it for the last few days that it's online. It's nothing like you've ever seen. I don't think someone else will make a Pokemon VR project quite like this. And even if they do, it'll never be the same for me, because this project had a lot of my time and my emotional investment into it. And it hurts to see it go. I'm not angry, I'm just sad. Because I can't be angry. I mean, it's very reasonable. The server costs are a lot. And there is no single player aspect, so we just won't be able to play the game anymore. I'm sorry, gamers. If there was something I could do, I would. But Spoon wouldn't let me pay for the servers even if I volunteered for it. So it's just how he is. And we love him for it. I can't think straight today. This is probably gonna fuck me up for a while. I'll post it on YouTube, I guess. I'll cut some of the dead noise out. You know, type in the comments, like, tell me about your time with PokéQuest VR. Tell me about what you liked. Tell me about your favorite part of PokéQuest VR. Spoon, comment with all your sappy shit in the comments. If you're watching it. PokéQuest VR was a lot to me. It was a big part of my identity. I loved it, and I'm very sad to see it go. Gamers, it was a great ride. It was a wild ride. There was those times in the Discord server were crazy. Meeting Spoon really changed the course of my path. I don't think I'd be in my third year of software development in college if I didn't meet Spoon. He's been an inspiration for me. He's someone that I look up to and hope to be like. He's a great guy. Even if he didn't have teeth for a couple months. He's a great guy. I consider him a friend, but, you know, honestly, we've just been so busy, I haven't been talking with anyone online. And, part of me is always going to feel guilty that, you know, maybe that contributed. Thank you, lawnmower. You know, part of me is always going to feel guilty that maybe that contributed to it. Because, you know, the thing about game development is, like, at least with me, you know, it helps to have encouragement. It helps to have people, like, excited about the project and talking about it and asking you about it. And then when no one talks about it, and then you're sitting there typing code and you're getting frustrated by, like, blockers and crashes and stuff, and then you're just like, why am I even doing this? Like, no one's gonna play it, no one likes it. I get that feeling. And there'll always be a little part in the back of my mind that might feel a little guilty. Maybe I didn't. There's probably some truth to it. But, yeah. Let's just talk about how great PokéQuest VR is, or was, in the comments. Thanks for your time, guys. Bye.